it. YouTube. So, well, hello everyone. Welcome to Lunar Rhythms with Christeen Skinner. I'm your host, Rod Chang. Hi, Christine. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, but how many hours are there between us? Because I'm in Florida. I'm actually in a place called Jupiter in Florida,
Yeah,
and you're in Taiwan. So
yeah. Oh,
it's half past eight in the morning for me.
you're on Jupiter.
Yes, I am definitely on Jupiter. Well, actually, I'm closer to a place called Juno, but that will do. I'm still on I'm on the astrology theme, but I am returning to the UK tonight after an extended stay. I came for 2 weeks and I will have been here for 5, but I'm not going
Wow,
home for very long because I'm coming back. So yes, my life has
wow.
changed entirely, entirely. These have been a magical few weeks.
Sounds like you have a really Jupiterian time that extended
Well,
expansion.
shall we? Yeah. Well, it wasn't very kind when it went over my ascendant and I lost Michael. That was awful. But then
Yeah.
it's coming back now, but it's coming back in a new form this time, and it's given me wings, so I'm flying. So,
Okay.
and yes, and it looks as though it's going to be like that for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I
actually
have
very
some.
funny. It's very funny
Yeah.
how life can change.
Yeah. Oh God, yes, definitely. Yes. I have some interesting picture going to share with you. A couple of days ago, I was in the mountain and I wanted to do some astrophotography. It's my big part of my
Yes,
passion. I'm crazy about it. And accidentally, I took a sun's photo with a sunspot as a
right.
solar spot. And
Yeah,
then I was like, that is I say, well, it's just a solar spot. Quite funny. But that afternoon, I read the news. It says the biggest solar flare just
yeah,
explore this morning, and in
yeah.
such area, and it caused the radio disruption and this and that. I think, wait a minute, I compare with the photo from the scientist website and with the photo I have. I think the photo I took that morning was indeed that eruption, that solar flare. So I'm going to share. I can't wait to share that. It's so fun because I know you are a big fan of the solar activity with the economy.
I am so much of this, and you know that the this one was huge, as we know, but there were two last week that combined and became a cannibal, very very
Yeah,
rare. And so
yeah.
the solar activity at the moment is extraordinary. So yes, I am looking at this, and in a minute, actually, I can show you something on my screen in a minute. But that's a
Cool,
stunning
cool.
picture.
Yeah.
That's
So this is the
absolutely
solar photo, and yeah, this is this region. The
wow,
big red spot region
wow.
was the solar flare that morning, and is the biggest one for this solar cycle, for the biggest one for this cycle.
Yeah,
So I
for
was
this
like,
cycle.
wait a minute, yeah, just confirm. I just want to confirm because but I was like, it is interesting. I really do sun photo. I really do it. I really do it. And it's just that morning I say, I have a telescope. I have a solar filter. Why not try it out?
Well,
And
I
that
really
was
think you're in tune with something. I need to tell you something else
yes,
that's
please.
happened.
Yeah.
Let me just.
So,
I'm going to keep.
yeah.
Whilst we're talking, I'm going to get another program up so that I can show you
Okay.
something mega
Definitely. Yeah.
about the solar stuff. Um, but let me before this comes up, let me tell you, I was staying with my publisher, and she
Mm.
has probably in excess of 2,000 books and magazines and what have you, spread over 5 different libraries in her home. I mean, an
Yeah.
extraordinary thing. And there was
Yeah.
one particular shelf which was absolutely tightly packed. And she ran her finger down it, and she was telling
Mm.
me what these things were. They were very old journals. And as she was
Mm.
talking down it, she stopped at one and pulled it out. Now, she could have stopped at anything, right? Anything at
Mm.
all. but she stopped at this one, pulled it out and said, had I seen that particular brand? Anyway, this went back to the 1970s. And would you believe it? There's an article in there about sunspot activity. And it was the article that I have been searching for since I started all of this, which was about 1998. It was unbelievable because I've been there. I've been with her for about 2 weeks. I've been going through all sorts of things. And how that thing found us that day, I have no idea. But of course, the solar activity, everything has been strange over the last few days. Rod, is there a way in which you could give me the screen for a minute?
Yes, I already set up as you as a co-host, so you can share your screen.
So where has my Zoom thing gone that allows that?
Share screen.
Now, I haven't actually got the share bit for a minute. Hold on. This is not even saying that. Here we go. Let's get this back to big. Now I can say share screen. Here we
Indeed.
go.
Share. Yes, here we go.
And now have you got my graph? Can you see
still waiting for. Yes, I see it. Yes, it's up famous Optima.
This is the famous Optima, but I hopefully you can see all of this. This is the sunspot activity since the beginning of 2023. Just let's look at this, for example. So we had a day in July of last year where there were more than 220 sunspots in a day. Right? Wow. And what's significant about this is we haven't repeated that since, but I want to pull it back to the start of the cycle. So the cycle began, roughly speaking, about 2020. There's the solar minima.
Yes.
There, right?
Yes.
And you can see it peak. Now, if the cycle was behaving in inverted commas normally, you would be looking for a high spot in 2025, instead of which we got that peak in 2023 at over 220. Now, this sunspot cycle is unusual because if I now come back further and I start looking at the last cycle, right? So there you've got the low in 2008, right?
Yes.
But in the last cycle, do you see that the high spot only came to 152?
Yes.
So this cycle that we've got now, and that cycle started 2008, concluded 2020-ish. So it was about the normal kind of 11 to 12 year cycle. But this one that we've got now, this could be very different. Either it's going to be one of the short cycles, and they can be just 9 and a bit years. But it's definitely this one. Look, this one is entirely different to what anybody imagined, because they were saying that this cycle would be a slow cycle, that it might not even have as many sunspots as the last, and it's broken all of those records. Now, what we know, of course, is that in 2020 we had all those planets grouped on one side of the sun.
Yes.
And the slower moving ones, Pluto. Well, in fact, the problem now, Rod, is what do we include as planets now? Because now that we know more about the dwarfs and all the rest of it, we're only beginning to get an understanding of who is affecting what. But all we can say about this is that the norm is that at the bottom of the cycle, stock market activity tends to be very low. And we certainly know that it was in 2008 and 2020. We know that.
Yeah.
We should be coming up to the peak. The question is, have we had the peak? Right. But the next fall should be 2030, 31-ish. Right.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. So we are living in it. This is really exciting. We're learning so much just now.
Yes. Wow, that is so interesting, because when we see that, because thanks for you when there's a 1 year, I think was around that, maybe earlier. You were teaching the financial astrology in the faculty summer school, and I was totally fascinated when you introduced that spaceweather.com website. Since then, I start to follow it and just check the solar activity with the like mundane astrology, important social political event, include economy. It is fascinating. It is
It is.
fascinating about,
I think
yeah.
the hard bit, well, I mean, it's not hard once you've actually got into the rhythm of it, is to accept that whatever's happening on the sun, it's some days before we feel the effect on Earth. So it's not immediate.
Yeah.
It's not happening that day because it takes time for that stuff to come to us.
Yes.
My
Yeah.
big concern, and this is a huge concern, is that one of these solar flares at some point is going to knock out some satellites. It's inevitable, right? We've been really lucky that this hasn't happened to any major degree as yet. But if it does that, and you suddenly find that your mobile phone doesn't work, and that the distributors can't send the lorries to get the food to the right places at the right time, we are so vulnerable to solar activity, and we're not really embracing the fact that what would life be like if you didn't have this communication system? How would we work? Because lots of people have almost forgotten how to do handwriting, but we would need to have something, So it's one of my passions. One of my passions is risk assessment from solar activity.
Definitely.
Rod, on that, I'm just going to do a quick flyer for this. There have been so many people asking me to teach financial astrology, and I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. But I am actually going to do this introductory class the day before the lunar eclipse, because I'm just thinking the time is now right to do it. So I'm on my way there. But before we get there, we need to talk about what's happening this week, because there's that very curious alignment this week.
Yeah, that full moon
we have the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn. Not the full moon. This Wednesday, Thursday, depending on your time zone, when the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn all come together.
Yeah.
And I was looking to see when was the last time that happened. When did we last have Mercury and Saturn conjoined in Pisces? With the Sun also in that sign, although not necessarily exactly, on the conjunction. And that took me back in 1994. And what was amazing then was 1994 was when President Clinton lifted the embargo on Vietnamese trade. So they had been on an embargo and he lifted it. What we've had happening in the last few days since Navalny's death in Russia is that they're increasing the sanctions on Russia. And I thought that this was a kind of really appropriate thing to understand that a conjunction is both the ending and the beginning of a cycle. So in Clinton's case, it was completing a cycle, which in fact had been a 19-year one. It was with a nodal cycle as well. So that one was completing, and this one is just beginning. So I thought that was interesting. I also was looking at news stories for this, and I came across a gorgeous one. This is lovely, Rod. So there's a new car has been unveiled. So think car, Mercury, right?
Yes.
Think Saturn equals high end, and Pisces luxury. And you're ready for this? So there's going to be this new car, the Valkyrie, right? Which I love the name, right?
Yeah.
The service costs over 3 years are $450,000. That's the service cost, right? The thing itself costs $3.5 million. And I thought, I wonder if we'll hear this week about who's bought the first one.
Yeah.
But I thought it encapsulated the absurdity of it, I love the name. I just love the fact that it's come out at this time. It seems so appropriate. So what are you going to be doing Wednesday and Thursday? How are you going to enjoy this? And then I'll tell you what I'm doing.
Well, Wednesday, Thursday would be my time. Well, back to not really. I need to pack to get ready to go to Japan, and so yeah, I'm just prepare my packing to leave Taiwan. I've been here for 5 weeks now, and so it's say goodbye to my family.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit of that for myself. I was born with a Mercury Saturn, right?
Yes.
That's very tight. And of course, I'm going to be really sad to leave these people today, but completely out of the blue. And I have to stress this. This is so left field, right?
Yeah.
I got an invitation to a lunch this week on the Mercury Saturn, right? But it's with some fund managers. Right? But they a very large part of their portfolio concerns film, right? And I thought this was just, this is the Pisces bit, and I'm having to put together thoughts about the whole Mercury Saturn cycle and key dates and things. And it's just funny the way that the cosmos is demanding that I do homework on the plane. So I've got plenty to do on the plane tonight.
Wow. I hope you can finish by you landing in London.
Well, I have to finish it by landing in London because I'm sure I'm going to be jet lagged on Tuesday. Well, I don't want to think like that, but I might be a little discombobulated.
Yeah.
And there are many things to catch up with,
Yeah, definitely. Away for 5 weeks is a long time. I think all your friends, family will definitely miss you.
Well, and for you too. But I've been with Americans, so I've been watching American news. I'm acutely aware of the eclipse, which I know you're going to fly to the US to see.
Yeah.
I'm really acutely aware of how much effort my colleagues are putting into being in the right place to see it at its optimum. So, Austin, the tourist industry in Austin is going to go berserk, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I'm really looking forward. And I see a lot of colleagues will separate in that belt on the eclipse path, Well, some will be in San Antonio, some will be in Dallas, some will be in Austin or Waco, or maybe some in New York. You can see that around New York.
And it's right up through Canada as well. So it's yes, but I mean, don't forget the Canadians, because I don't like to think of this as being another great American eclipse. They don't have the ownership of it, right? But what's amazing about that eclipse chart, and what we have to talk about is that it's 19 degrees of Cancer, of Aries rather, with Chiron there, squaring off to that black hole. I mean, it's a mega powerful eclipse. But of course, nothing is on the day itself. It's the legacy of the thing.
True.
So, and
that's very important.
Mars catches up to the eclipse degree towards the end of May, just as Jupiter is slipping into Gemini. So those dates look really, really fascinating to me. That's what I'll be, we have to discuss this again.
Definitely. I think that we will come back maybe while I'm in the United States or something. We can just run something. That'd be fun.
Well, you can do that because I'm going to go to Cyprus, so we can have another conversation when we're in, at some point we need to do it when we're both in the UK.
Yeah, we have to. It's so funny, but I think both you and I was for last year we all just stay in, and suddenly we all.
And now we're here, there, and everywhere. So what is your school planning next?
Well, thank you for asking. Next, in the March, we will have a Liam McCarthy talk about Ceres and Juno, and then
wow.
So that is a very interesting topic. And then coming up, we will arrange something from some time. I need to coordinate with you to ask about you to give a webinar sometime very soon. But so far, I only planning March. On the 16th of March, Liam McCarthy going to talk about Juno and Ceres. That would be so interesting. But I want to share the Astrological Association, which I recently involved quite a lot. On the 15th of March, the Astrological Association, we have a new event once a month called Astrological Duet, hosted by Alejo Lopez, and the different member in the association will join to discuss, some interesting topic, either in transit or either in the astrology topic to have a little bit discussion.
Yeah.
So on the 15th, and they're going to talk about Jupiter, Neptune. Roy Gillette going to talk about Jupiter, Neptune. Sounds could be very interesting.
Oh, and a fabulous date to do it. Absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
And quite a contrast to the Jupiter Uranus, because everybody else is being asked to talk about that cycle.
I know.
That's
yes.
quite, so not that's really cool. Well done.
Definitely. So, well, thank you for taking your time out, Christine. And just before you fly back to London, and we will arrange another podcast time. Maybe we can arrange while I'm still in London, so we can just a little 1 day before, 1 or 2 days before full moon, we will be both in UK.
I think we were looking at Friday, March the 22nd. So we'll try and do that.
We will both,
Yeah, so we'll do a little slightly late equinox piece, but pre the lunar eclipse.
Perfect.
Right? Okay.
Love it.
All right.
Love
okay.
It. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, safe travels.
Okay. Thank you. You too. Have nice flight. Safe journey home. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Oh, just a moment. Where is did I stop it? I'm just